there was the issue about the Jews, the Polish Jews. General Anders, the Polish government in exile, claimed that everybody who was a Polish citizen in 1939 at the time of the Soviet invasion was a Polish citizen and should be able to join the army and leave with General Anders. The Russians didn't agree. They argued that all the Ukrainians and all the Jews that had been Polish citizens up until 1939 were in reality Soviet subjects and were not allowed to leave. Through various schemes and plotting, General Anders managed to pull out around 5,000 Jews with the army to join as soldiers, and another 2,000 Jewish civilians. The Poles also brought with them another 35,000 civilians. So all in all, around 110,000 people left the Soviet Union. And it was clear when they reached the Holy Land that many of these Jews, they were not interested in going back to Europe. They did not want to go and fight in that theater. They wanted to remain in the Holy Land. They wanted to rebuild their life there. They wanted to join the local Jewish community and naturally fight for independence sooner or later. So many of them remained there and left this another wave of Polish Jewish immigration, many of them schooled soldiers, so later on they would form the elite in the recreated Jewish state. After the end of the war, 1945, 1946, after it was evident what had happened with the Holocaust, you still had some Jews that were able to leave from occupied Europe.
Yes, and of course, sorry, I probably jumped in the gun by a couple of years, but also Poland was one of the few, probably the only country in the then what had become the Soviet bloc, which allowed Jews to freely leave to Israel in 1948, 47.
Yes, a lot of it started immediately after Poland had been able, through, it has to be said, through the arms of the Soviet Union to get rid of the Nazi German occupier. The surviving Jews of Poland, around 250,000 or so, almost immediately 150,000 of them left. Some of them to America, some of them to other countries, but many went for Israel. 1947, 1948, you have additional waves of Jews leaving. Jumping a little bit into the future, in 1967, you have this crisis in Polish-Jewish relations connected to the Six-Day War, when the Soviet Union took a very strongly pro-Arab stance. And in Poland, there were separate political instability connected with young students protesting against communist rule and Soviet suppression of Polish statehood, or rather Polish sovereignty at least. The communist powers, on the orders of the Soviet Union, they initiated this anti-Jewish campaign. They started claiming that these students that were leading the protests, they were somehow directed by worldwide Zionist conspiracy. So nothing unusual, the same trope that we've been hearing for a long time. In connection with that, many Jews lost their jobs working for the state, naturally, as it was a planned economy and the state was the main giver of employment. Many of them lost their jobs, lost important functions in the party, because it has to be said that up until that point, the Jews that had remained, many of them did play quite important roles in various roles in the state. So many of them decided to leave the country in connection with that. The Polish authorities did not oppose it. Many left for various Western countries. Sweden took in significant numbers, but many also went either directly or first to the West and after a couple of years to Israel. So there you have a third or fourth large wave of Polish Jewish migration to Israel. But returning to the late 40s and early 50s, in 1947, when Israel is created, initially there is a vote in the UN whether to let the state be created. Poland, together with the rest of the Soviet Union and the Soviet satellite states, vote no. However, there is the war, the Arabs call it Nakba, the disaster. The Jews call it their freedom and independence war. And in 1948, the Jewish state is created. Quickly, Poland establishes diplomatic relations with Israel.
Adam, I'm sorry, the clock in the corner of the studio is telling me that the time for this programme is over. So if we could pause it there, we'll pick it up next time. There we are, as usual, time has defeated us. But fear not, if you join us next time, as we hope you will, we will continue the story here on Poland Daily History.